I have to actually chuck up what I was going to say after listening to what everybody else has been saying. Because I don't think it's about either or. I don't think it's about individuals and about all structures. I think that there is individual racism, and I think there is both structural and institutional racism. And when they work their way through different institutions, you come back to the impact it has on individuals. I think that structural racism exists in how the individuals inform those processes in the first place, and then those move into institutions, and then they impact on the individuals. I mean, why aren't there more black faces in, and I use it generically, in museums? And that's one of the things I remember David Lammy challenging the universities about when he first came was, where do you headhunt? So where do you headhunt? Why aren't there more black people involved in museums? And if they are there, then where are they? What positions are they? What influence do they have? What impact do they have? What do they control? Who designs the agenda? Who designs what is presented to the public about these institutions that are supposed to be keepers of our inheritance, our knowledge of what defines inheritance and knowledge even, and what we are all influenced by. I mean, at Southern Voices, one of the things we used to say was that we, black people, have to decolonize our minds when we want to look again and anew and fresh at our own inheritance, because what that kind of education, which actually has an edge of racism, is our own, it's the education process we go through too. And we are looking at our own selves through the same mirror, the same magnifying glass that has been imposed on us through years of slavery and colonialism. And it doesn't change, and that's why why it doesn't change is because we haven't moved that magnifying glass, and it goes in. It's not that it stops at museums or universities or wherever. It creates the processes in which we live now. I mean, you created the construct of racialism to support slavery, and then the construct of barbarism to support colonialism. I mean, you went out to civilize the world, the white man's burden and all that. You can take it right back to slaverism, to slavery, to racism, to the white man's burden, to going and imposing one's own knowledge, own peculiar concept of democracy and civilization somewhere else. I think this is all a legacy of those times, and it's embedded in our educational systems and in our educational institutions, wherever they are. And my question to people who work in museums is, you're surrounded by these things. You work wherever you are, you're confronted with this all the time. I was going to say 24 hours a day, but I hope not. 8 hours a day. What does that, I mean, that must affect your thinking, what you kind of take in somehow. And how do you challenge that? How do we challenge that? How do you respond to challenge of that thing? How many people are from museums here today? I mean, I'm actually as interested in museum personnel coming here as our own people, as ethnic people. I mean, white people don't have ethnicity, I think. Or black and, you know. So yeah, that's another of the kind of postures. Anyway, I think that if we have opened up this debate, it's not just about a debate, a series of debates even. It's what happens, even the images that are used to challenge racism, to challenge the things we've been talking about, have this kind of, I'm thinking of the medallion. All of you will know the medallion, of the anti-slavery Why is it a kneeling person? Why isn't it a warrior who was, you know, why isn't someone who was fighting a war a long time ago to challenge slavery? Why is it the supplication? And why is it, and if the other thing related to that I wanted to say before I forget, is that if museums insist on that things must be based on their collections, what do you collect next? Where will you collect to create a whole story? It's not just, you will not get the whole story by concentrating on collections within museums. It's about what you collect and what you do in the future. You're living on a present that has been fueled and enriched by past of taking from others. Now what are you going to do? This is not about, you know, how are you then, my question is, how are you going to make your story whole, and how are you going to act in relation to the other countries from whom your wealth has come? What are you going to do about that in the future? It's got to be, and it's not about reparation or aid or anything. It's about what are you going to do to change that balance, which has to be the result of this process that we're going, or we think we're going through. I think that's all I want to say.
Okay, Chair.